Hey everybody and welcome. I just made a massive silver and currency purchase. We'll get right into it here in a bit. $653. Alright, now that we got it all organized, let's get into it. Starting with this first bill we bought was a Hawaii silver certificate, the brown seal from 1935 Series A. You see the Hawaii there on the back as well as on either side of the front of the note. I paid $20 for that. It's probably going for around $30 is what I'll post it for if I decide to sell it. And then we have a large 1918 national currency Federal Reserve bank note. This I bought for $100. He paid $100 for it. He also paid $20 for the Hawaii note as well. So he only broke even on it. It's probably somewhere between $70 and $125. I'm really not great at bank note grading, but you do see a strong center fold across the center there, some writing over here. But for the most part, a good amount of detail on this note, and you can also see some of the anti-counterfeiting measures there from the teens. So that's good at least. Moving on to the Roosevelt dimes, I paid $190. There are 119 Rosies right here, which means that the current melt value is $230 for that much. So I made $40 there. I'll go through them to search for dates here in a second once we get through with all this. We have a 1992 proof American Silver Eagle, minted in San Francisco. Paid $35. That's what he was asking. I wasn't going to argue lower. That's pretty darn good for a proof. He wanted it $35 even for the regular ASEs, which I couldn't do. So we just did this one for $35, probably worth around $50. Made $15 on that. Then we bought a whole bunch of $half here. We bought a good chunk of Barbers, some Walkers, and some Benjis. All of these together, there's 23 of them. He just gave me one price for all of them. It was $273, which is a little high, but we do have some Barbers. We'll go through the dates and see how much we got out of that. There's 20 between the Barbers and the Walkers and only 3 Benjis down here. We also got the 1968 and 1969 proof 40%ers, which I had not previously had. So that's a cool addition to the collection. Those went for $5 for both of them. I accepted his price there. He wanted $5 for all of these quarters down here. I paid $4 for all these quarters down here. One of them is a Barber, and 2 are better looking Washington quarters, probably in BU shape, both 1964. He had some other quarters as well, but they weren't in great shape, and I don't think they really would enhance my collection or stack at all. And then we got a 1946 Booker T. Washington commemorative out of the Philadelphia version. And that's he paid $12 for. I paid $15 for. It's probably worth around $15. So overall on the lot, I'm ahead $12.50 before searching for errors, key dates, or anything like that. So I guess I really can't complain for the most part. Alright, so of the 118 Roosevelt silver dimes, 19 of them were from the 1940s, 8 of those from 1946, 4 of those from 1947, 2 1947 S's, 1 1948, 3 1948Ds, and 1 1949D. We had 48 from the 1950s, including 1 from 1950 itself. That's a new one, I believe, for the collection. We'll take a look at the book here in a second. 2 1951s, 4 1951Ds, 2 1952s, 7 1952Ds, 1 1952S, 1 1953, 4 1953Ds, 2 1954s, 3 1954Ds, 2 1956, 2 1957, 6 1957Ds, 1 1958, 3 1958Ds, 3 1959s, and 4 1959Ds. And then from the 1960s, Now, we had a couple nice ones from 1964, as we can see there. 51 total, 2 from 1960, 5 from 1960D, 2 1961, 4 1961D, 3 1962, 11 1962D, 7 1963D, 5 1964, and 12 1964D. Alright, we got 2 spots filled. The 1949 Denver, and goes there, and the 1951 Denver goes there. That leaves the 1946S, the 49S, 54S, 55, 55D, and 1963. Alright, moving on to the Walkers and Benjis, we got 2 1918Ds, 1 1919S, a 1927S, 1939S, as well as a 1935P, 3 1942Ps, 1 1943P, a very nice 1944D, a 46P, 49P, 52P, and 50D. Let's real quick take a better look there at that 1944. See that spot there on the back. Unfortunate, but definitely a thicker rim than the rest of these, the other Walker half dollars sitting here. Alright, with that we were able to fill 3 spots in our pre-1936 Walker book, the 1918D, the 1919S, and the 1927S. All 3 of those coins really go for well above their regular value. And I'm sorry, we actually have a 4th coin, almost forgot about, the 1935, which will go right here. That is a new one to go with the 1935S we already have in the early date Walkers. In the later years, we got the 1939S. We upgraded slightly our 1942, got in the 1943 as well. And you'll notice I left the 1944 slot open, even though we got that really beautiful one. That's because that one's going to the typeset. We'll take a look at that at the end of the video. So for the Franklins, the 1949, we're going to roll up. The 1950D is a new addition, and the 1952 is an upgrade from the previous coin. And as for the Barbers, we have a 1901 out of Philly, a 1903, 07, and 08, all out of New Orleans, 1907 out of Philly, 1911 and 1912 out of Denver, and a 1912 out of San Francisco. Now, I don't have a book for the Barbers yet, because these are really the first few Barbers that I got. I believe that it will also upgrade, one of these may upgrade the one I have in my typeset. We'll have to take a look, but I'll let you guys know at the end of the video if that did indeed happen. The rest of these are pretty much what they look like. The 1992 Proof ASE, the Booker T. Washington, which will be going to the typeset. We have a 1909 D Barber quarter, which might upgrade the typeset as well. Take a look at that. 2 nice 1964 quarters, which don't really add anything, but we'll set them off to the side for rolls. And then the 2 Proof 40%ers, 1968 and 1969. Nothing too special on either of these either. Alright, we have 3 upgrades and 1 addition to our typeset. This 1999 Barber quarter will be upgraded with our 1909 D Barber quarter that we just showed off to you guys. So that will go in the typeset right there. We also had a 1908 D Barber half dollar, which was actually graded G4 by a third-party non-PCGS or NGC grading service, with this 1911 D Barber half dollar in much better shape. So we'll put that in there. We also are upgrading this 1941 D to the 1944 D Walking Liberty $50. And we're also adding a new commemorative coin. That'll be that Booker T. Washington. Let me take that out of the flip and then show you guys it in the typeset. And there we go. That's that Walking Liberty and the Booker T. Washington $50, all now inside the typeset.